Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Profitable Website podcast for female entrepreneurs who want to work smarter, not harder. And my name is Ela Shumlas. I'm a Squarespace web designer and I'm host of this podcast. And today I'm joined by Carol Gaffney from Gaffney Studio, and we'll be talking about how to build a successful brand to attract your dream clients. Welcome, Carol, to the show.
Thank you so much, Ella, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much for your time. Carol, maybe let's get started and maybe you can introduce yourself first.
So I am the brand positioning strategist in Gaffney Studio. And in Gaffney Studio, we offer brand positioning through brand photography. And our focus in Gaffney Studio is to help businesses and individuals to shape their brand identities through the powerful source of photography. Because in photography, as you heard a lot, of an image speaks 1,000 words. So that's the power of a photography. Mm-hmm. And I work closely with our clients to ensure their visual storytelling aligns perfectly with their core values, their long-term goals, providing very bespoke brand photography that is both authentic and very strategic.
Yeah, I have seen their portfolio and they're amazing, really. Okay. Let's go into the topic. So maybe let's start with the word brand. What exactly does it mean? Because a lot of people use it, but I'm not sure if everyone understands it the same way. So what is branding?
Brand is, I love an author called Mart Newmar. Mm-hmm. He's an author of the book called Brand Gap. And I love the way he explains that because it's so easy to understand. And he says a brand is a feeling, what people feel about you and your product and your service. So it's how people perceive your services, how people perceive your product. Mm-hmm. There is another quote that says, brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So how people feel about you, and Martin Newmar also says it's a gut feeling. It's a good feeling how people feel about you and your product and your services. So I love that explanation of what brand is. Mm-hmm. It's not only the logo, it's not only photography, it's not only the typography, it's not only the brand, the colors, the color scheme. It's the gut feeling that people have.
Yeah.
And branding is a way to control that gut feeling, to control the narrative, regardless if it's through photography, through the images, to photography, to videos, to the website, the color palette. So we are all interacting with each other in an unconscious level, in a subconscious level. So we are sending signals to each other all the time in our subconscious mind, and we perceive those signals based on our collective unconscious. Mm-hmm. So that's how branding is a way to control that gut feeling, because when you are very intentional with your brand image, for example, which is my expertise, you can send the right signals to the subconscious mind of your audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what is the difference then between brand and brand positioning?
Okay, brand positioning is actually brand positioning is how you want your brand to be perceived in the minds of your audience. So it's about like imagine a table where you have different a chess table. You have different pieces in different places, right? And the board would be your brand, your audience's mind. And the pieces would be your competitors. Which position do they have in your client's mind? For example, our brand positioning is in terms of brand photography in Ireland. We position ourselves as a premium photography because we go very deep into understanding the brand of our clients. We have lots of activities in brand clarity. We express the brand personality we call brand archetype. So which position do we have in comparison to other people that are also brand photographers? So how the audience can compare us. So that's which way we position ourselves in the market and which way we position ourselves in the mind of our audience.
Yeah, so you're not only taking pictures, taking images, but you also create the strategy, the branding for the client, for your clients.
Yes.
Yeah. Okie dokie. So right now we know what is brand, what is the brand positioning. So where we should start, if if somebody is listening to us, why it's important to have, and where to start, where people can start to create their own branding.
Yeah, the best way to start is having brand clarity. So in our process, for example, I'll give an example of our process because we deliver brand positioning through photography, right? So when our clients hire us, we book a brand clarity call. It's a 2 hours call. And sometimes they freak out. They say, Carol, I have no clarity about my brand. How can I do those activities? How can I answer my brand mission, my brand values, my ideal client? I said, no, don't worry. You are not a brand strategist. I am the brand strategist. So I am going to guide you through this process. All the answers are within you. If it's a personal brand, all the answers are within you. You don't need anyone else. You don't need external validation. It's within you. I'm going to help you to extract that. Of course, when you have business owners, I have to extract the answer from within each business owner and match to see where they overlap in terms of value, in terms of brand personality, and so on. So answering your question, where can they start, is having brand clarity. So going back to our process, we have a brand clarity call. It's 2 hours call. We go through their brand mission, their brand values, their ideal client, who they want to attract, who they do not want to attract. That's so important, and people normally forget about it. Who you do not want to attract. How can you repel those people that you do not want to attract?
And also, sorry, sometimes it's also easier when people are only starting their business and they are not sure who is their ideal client. Sometimes it's easier to say with who they don't want to work.
Exactly.
And then automatically they will know with who they want to work, right?
Exactly. That's so important. Yeah. And what you said, it's so important. And sometimes when people are not sure about who they want to attract, I switch and say, okay, who you do not want to attract. So then it's the opposite of that, So it's starting with the basic, the base of your brand. Who are you? What's your personality? We work with brand archetypes. What's your personality? Are you the sage? Are you the lover? Are you the explorer? Are you the magician? All big brands, they have this base really, really, really solid, and they work from that. So in terms of designing a brand photo shoot, a website, videography, whatever, and brand colors, you need to have that base very solid.
Yeah, so if somebody wants to do the branding themselves, so the first step, it will be start with describing who is their ideal client, with who they want to work. Then we're saying that brand is the feeling. So I think they should also ask themselves how they want their clients to feel when they interact with their company, with their business, right?
Yes.
And so let's say they will describe how they want their clients to feel. So what is the next step? So they know they want the feeling, they know what feeling they want to create, but what will be the next step? How they can create this feeling? What are the elements that goes into the branding?
Yeah, I will just give an example. I think it will be easier for the audience, people that are listening to us, to understand. So let's pretend we are working with a coach, a personal coach, who we identified she has the caregiver archetype, caregiver personality. We went through the brand archetype questionnaire, and we found out her true personality, her true essence is a caregiver, right?
So and then, what does it mean?
Caregiver is someone who is very caring, who is very welcoming, who is very comforting with anyone. And normally when we do the brand archetype test, and I'll just explain a little bit about what brand archetype is so people will understand. Brand archetype is a theory designed by Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist in the past century. And he divided us into personalities, 12 personalities, which we use in brand as brand archetypes. So they're the lover, the magician, the rebel, the sage, the explorer. For example, Disney used the magician archetype, Harley Davidson used the rebel archetype, Chanel used the lover archetype, and so on. So when I identify a personal coach that has the caregiver archetype, caregiver can be Dove, can be Johnson & Johnson as well as an example. So when I identify a personal coach that has the caregiver archetype, I'm gonna express this personality throughout the visual codes for the photography. For example, I will suggest outfits that will bring comfort, they will bring like warmth, if it depends on the weather, of course, and images that would convey self-care, either her contemplating nature or in nature or doing any self-care, like reading a book, writing journal, that conveys in the subconscious mind of who is seeing the photos, like that she is really caring. Her dealing with a client in a one-to-one with a client, the way she will express herself, the facial expression, the posing, the way she is leaning her body towards the client, it will express the caregiver. If we are taking photos in her house, we will prioritize the kitchen, because the kitchen is it's a caregiver element in our collective unconscious, because when we think about caregivers, we think about our mothers, and unfortunately, most of the mothers are normally always in the kitchen. So that's in our collective unconscious. And things like that, a fireplace and so on. So in terms of colors, soft colors for the outfit, soft colors for the website, for the graphics, and the typography as well, nothing too hard, too strong, and too structured, something more soft, italic, and so on. So that's how we convey that.
Yeah. So there is a lot of elements. So we are thinking it just a simple image, but in fact there is a lot of strategy behind, a lot of thinking, a lot of thought behind each image, right?
Yes, because everything communicates. Well, I always say to you, when I see your background, I love your background. And whenever we have calls, I love your background. It's very minimalist and shows exactly your personality. You are very straightforward. You love to simplify things.
Yes.
And that gives me only the background. Of course, we spoke a lot of times and we know each other for more than this background, of course. But when I see that, I can have some visual codes are like I'm getting those visual codes in my subconscious mind, and I'm having assumptions, and I'm judging who you are, right? For better, for worse. In a way, we judge each other all the time. And when I see the background, I say, okay, Ella is very straightforward. She's very minimalist. She's very much of a simple person. And whenever we talk, I can see that personality. So everything communicates, absolutely everything. The way we dress, the way we walk, the way we talk, our background, absolutely everything we need to be mindful of.
Yeah, and later on we attract also the clients who resonate with, with our personality, because people work with people. And this is the whole key of the branding, that you create your branding to attract your dream client. So that's why you have to start who you want to attract.
Exactly.
Right? So
and I also... Exactly. And it's so important. This is so important because when we work with brand archetypes, for example, we understand the core values. And even people that don't work with brand archetypes, the brand strategy, they do outline what are your core values. Once you have those core values very defined and you know why you have each core value, then you will express that in your visuals, in your websites and so on, in your copywriting. So when people are seeing you, when you are being visible online, people are seeing this, they can more or less understand your core values in their subconscious mind. So if they are against what your core values represent, they will not be attracted to you. Right? For example, Harley Davidson, it's a rebel archetype. So they have that sense of freedom, of revolution, of breaking the status quo. People that they are not like that, or they don't aspire to be like that, they won't buy a motorbike from Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
So that's the power of brand position and having a very structured brand in terms of attracting the right clients and repelling the wrong clients, because you don't want to waste your time and waste your energy with the wrong clients. They are not aligned with your core values.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good thing to repel the clients that you won't enjoy to work with them anyway.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's a good thing. Tell me now how important it is to be consistent across all of the, media and so on.
Yeah, consistency is everything, absolutely everything. And it builds trust and makes your brand more recognizable. So practical steps on the consistency would be using the same color schemes, the fonts, the photography style across all your digital platforms, having a very clear brand photography style that reflects your brand positioning, that ties everything together, like having this consistency, not only posting regularly, but also posting, for example, on social media with a very cohesive visual, cohesive visual codes in terms of photography, in terms of typography, in terms of colors. And if you are sending email marketing, being consistent with that, because that will build trust and people will know what to expect from you. And this will definitely build trust. Another way that people often forget about, being consistent with your style as well. The style that you dress, your personal style. A great example of that is Steve Jobs. He was always wearing the same clothes, right? The black turtleneck, similar to mine.
Probably he has several of the same kind.
Yeah, thousands of the same thing. Jeans, runners. He was always like that. He was consistent with his visual code, with his style. You knew what to expect from him. You could trust him. In our subconscious mind, we would trust him. Imagine if he was in one day wearing a power suit, another day wearing jeans and runners, another day wearing, I don't know, a funky hat. In our subconscious mind, as human beings, we wouldn't feel comfortable with that. So consistency can be perceived as in our personal style as well.
Yeah, and I completely I agree here, because if somebody is consistent, if you see that the person is the same person in all the platforms, everywhere you see the person, it's just reconfirmation of that person, of her personality, of his personality. It builds trust. If there is inconsistency, so for example, the website, it's nicely done, with polished images and so on, and later on the live videos, person looks completely different and talks completely, in different way than it's on the website, it just destroy all the trust. Like you don't trust these people, you are confused. It just causes confusion, and confused people don't buy.
The confused people don't buy. That's so important. So important to understand that.
Yeah. So this consistency across, to keep your branding consistent on all the platform, it's very, very important. In fact, it's crucial because
very crucial,
it will build the trust. Yeah.
Everything needs to communicate: the website, the social media, the email marketing, everything needs to communicate with each other. So when you see, you will identify that is coming from Ella. So I know this is coming from Ella, because you can see that your personality is there anyway.
Yeah, and I think it's that's why it's so important to be authentic, because it's impossible to pretend. Like you can pretend, for example, on your website, you can have a nice photo shoot, right? When you pretend that you are, because you want to attract like I don't know, high level clients, and you are not there, or it's not your style. So you cannot pretend all the time.
No.
You have to be consistent. So it has to be you.
Has to be you, And authenticity is something that people often don't understand. Authenticity is like, for example, when you are 100% authentic is when you are in your house, right? When you are in your house, most of the time, you don't care about the way you dress. Maybe you're having a pajama day, or your hair is all messy, you don't have makeup. That's your authentic self, right? The way you talk with your family, that's exactly 100% authentic. And then how you present yourself in public, how you present yourself in a professional setting, and so on. So you're not going to present yourself in your pajamas with your hair all messy, no makeup. You're not going to do that, right? And you're also not going to fake until you make it. That's not the ideal word, because then you're going to be faking and you're going to be attracting the wrong clients and so on. So authenticity is the best way I can describe, is a way to close the gap as close as possible. It cannot be 100% authentic. You need to have a strategy. You need to be intentional. For example, I was intentional when I was wearing this turtleneck, when I put my jewelry, the way I brushed my hair today, everything was authentic. My makeup, everything was intentional. Intentional. Yeah. My background here is intentional. My office can be messy, but my background needs to be great, right? So yeah, so I'm not gonna be authentic showing my messy office, because that's not a way I want people to perceive me in a professional setting. So we need to close the gap. 100% authentic, being your pajamas, hair all messy, no makeup, it's not ideal. Also fake until you make it's not ideal. So being strategic in a way of being authentic, being true to your core values, but at the same time being intentional. That's so important, to be intentional with everything you do. Like it comes from your photography, your content in your social media, in your website, in your copywriting that you put on your website. You need to close the gap, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's talk about right now, because you work with a lot of female entrepreneurs. What are the biggest mistakes, branding mistakes, that you can see from your experience?
Yeah, a common mistake would be inconsistency. Going back to inconsistency, like the visuals, sometimes the messaging, the overall brand experience, they don't align. So when the audience comes in touch with their brand, there is no consistency. It creates confusion. And when they go to the website is one way, the social media is another way, or they're not consistent posting, consistent posting on social media, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or if their newsletter, they start and they don't keep going. That's a huge mistake that I see lots of people making.
Yeah, because branding is also messaging. We are talking about the images, about the visuals, but it's also the messaging as well. So your brand voice also has to be consistent. So even you know what is your message on the website, it should be exactly what you're putting into your emails, into your posts, and so on. So it's
the tone of voice, the way you talk needs to be very consistent. Especially now with AI, some people, they just overuse AI and they don't put their own touch of their tone of voice. And you, as a web designer and you in copywriting and doing the copywriting of the website, you know how important it is in mail marketing and so on. So it is, the messaging is a key point of the brand positioning, definitely. Another mistake is just trying to appeal to everyone instead of focusing on the target audience. When you try to appeal to everyone, you appeal to no one, you attract no one. So you can avoid this by ensuring your branding is consistent across all our platforms and stay true to your core brand values. An example is, for example, I will speak in our own experience, photography. We can be family photographers, wedding photographers, I don't know, school photographer, wall art photographer, but we decide to focus on brand photography, because if you were trying to be a generalist, nobody would hire us and nobody would pay premium price for generalists, because we need to be niched. We need to be experts in a very specific niche, and in our case is brand photography. So when you try to appeal to no one, you end up attracting no one. That's a big mistake that people make.
Yeah. Any other mistakes that you have seen?
So many that we all make. A few mistakes. But the main thing, and another thing as well, I was talking with a client yesterday, we were having a brand strategy call, and I mentioned that, and she said, Carol, you mentioned that twice. I wrote it down very big here, so I won't forget. And she said, well, what I was saying to her, I was saying that you are being visible, not to boost your ego. So because some people, they say, okay, I don't like the way I look, I don't like my stomach, I don't like my nose, so I'm not going to take photos, I'm not going to record videos. And I understand some people, they have deep self-image issues. I'm not talking about that. But when people are just not comfortable with something about their own their own body or whatever, sometimes they do feel that, okay, they feel too self-conscious about the way they will present in front of the camera for videos or for photos. And they just, if they understand that, if they make the mindset shift of understanding that they are not having photos taken or having videos taken to boost their ego, it's not about them. It's about them being visible to attract their ideal clients that need their help. So if they make this mindset shift, they will be more comfortable, they will be more confident, and they will be more relaxed on the photo shoot or videography or something, or whatever they have to be visible. So it's important to understand that it's not about them, it's about their clients.
Yeah, totally agree. It helps 100%. When I have to be live, I'm just thinking, okay, I'm not here for myself. I'm to give value here, to give, some content and whatever. Okay, so I have the last question, because I'm mindful of the time. How to know when your brand's positioning doesn't work and it's time to refresh it or rebrand it?
Yeah. You know when your brand position isn't resonate if you start attracting the wrong type of clients. We spoke so much about it, and I think we both are very aware of it. So if your brand doesn't feel aligned with where your business is headed, it's past the time to reposition yourself, to reposition your brand. Normally, when you realize that, it should be in the past. But anyway, you can look for brand strategy. You can look for someone who can help you to rebrand with a rebrand, right? So at that point, a refresh can help you clarify your messaging, your visuals, identity. And we often recommend updating the brand photography to reflect this change, to ensure your brand stays relevant and impactful. Update your website, that's so important. Review your tone of voice, and rebrand, like your color palette, everything. You need to make sure it's aligned with who you are, and it's repelling people that you do not want to work with. That's so important, especially, for example, in networking is a way, it's a funnel, right? It's a way to attract people. Which networking groups are you part of? Are they respecting your values? Are they bringing clients to you? They're aligned with your values? If not, don't go to those networking groups anymore. And how are you communicating in social media, on your website? Are these words, like, for example, I gave the example of the caregiver archetype. Imagine if I'm working with a brand personal coach that has more of a hero archetype, but it's more like Tony Robbins. Just do it. Yes, you can do it. He shouts on this stage. He's not a caregiver archetype, right? So if you have a style more like Tony Robbins, and all visuals, all your website, your photography conveys a caregiver personality, you're going to attract the wrong clients. They're going to expect something from you that you are not. So when you start to attract the wrong clients, that's the right
it's the signal,
time for you to do repositioning.
Yeah, perfect. 100% agree. Okay, to wrap up today's episode, Carol, what's the one key takeaway you would like listeners to remember?
Yeah, let me just think. We spoke we mentioned so many different things, but I think the key takeaway is that your brand positioning, it's just like, your brand positioning isn't just about words, right? It's every detail, every visual detail, every impression you make, every detail on your website, the way your website is created. If it is like a DIY and you are not great at it, it's gonna give you it's gonna give one impression instead of being having a web designer, a professional web designer to do it, for example. The same for your photos. If you DIY your photos, you're going to give one impression. If you get a professional to do it in the right way with a brand strategy behind, that you're going to give another impression. So it's about the impression you make. Through authentic and strategic photography, you can create a very strong and consistent brand that attracts the clients you truly want to work with, not only through photography, to videography, to websites, to copywriting, and so on. So I think the key takeaway would be that brand position isn't just, it's not simple. It's a whole, it's a holistic approach, right?
Yeah. And and it's very important. I like what you have said at the beginning, that it's a feeling, the feeling that people have when they first interact with us, and everyone is judging, and it's only really, it's a half of the second, right, when people are making the judgment. So it's really very quick. It's this feeling what they have when they are looking at you. Okay, if you have more questions regarding brand positioning, you may contact Carol directly. Carol, where is the best place to find you and connect with you?
Yeah, our website is gaffneystudio.com. On Instagram, we are Gaffney Studio. On LinkedIn, my personal page is carol.gaffney. And on LinkedIn, our company page is Gaffney Studio. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Ella.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Carol, for your time. Thank you for your advice and insights. And thank you very much to all of you for listening and watching. And I will see you until next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.